Hello my loves, I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being on my channel where we are talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. And I want to cover this topic today, which is a heavy one. Did the narcissist ever love you? I've made a lot of videos on love on here so that you understand that even what you're feeling about the narcissist isn't actually love, because love on the planet isn't, you can't be loving someone that requires you to endorse the worst of them and diminish your entire self. And in these abuse cycles, right, the narcissist destroys who you are. Right? Everything that they seem to be attracted to in you, which is often your confidence, your glow, your dreams, your energy, your empathy, they tear down. Right? It's more of a sick obsession at tearing everything that's true about you down than it is about any kind of love for you. They know your boundaries. They know your values. That's why they lie. That's why they trick you. That's why they do things that are unimaginable to you. They literally, piece by piece, detonate who you are. Your identity, your values, your spirit, your desires, your dreams, your energy. They trigger emotions in you that you were not naturally going to feel, like jealousy, like fear, like living in a poverty consciousness, feeling that there's a lack of love in the world, that people are... You know, you start living in a poverty consciousness. That's why you get so desperate for them, because they become a source of survival, security, love, validation, finances, whatever. They tear everything down that you are. They're a destructive force on the planet. It's got nothing to do with love. Can they, in a love bomb stage, make you, because they know how to psychically, like, they don't mirror you in terms of shadow work, but in a love bombing stage, they're mirroring your ideal partner or parent or whatever. They know how to present as an illusion what you really want and need from someone and how you want to feel about you. They can't keep this up, but they do it. We fall in love with how we feel about ourselves around them in a love bombing stage. We start having, like I talked about, trauma bonding, biological, chemical and psychic enmeshments, spiritual enmeshments with them, which is very addictive. But love isn't like that. Yeah? When you truly love someone, you will do what's best for them overall. You'll want them to be happy overall. That doesn't happen in these dynamics. And you get pushed into a survival need for them. Some of them are very good at controlling your sexual energy. They all have different levels of psychic power, and there are different rankings in terms of demons and spiritual light workers, right, on the planet. You don't have to necessarily know that, but like some of them are stronger at what they do than others. That's what I'd say about it. So it feels like we're in love, especially when we're trauma bonded and the person leaves us or we leave them. This can feel extremely strong. What we're actually dealing with is an enmeshment, which I've made videos on. What you need to know about narcissistic enmeshment, because you've got to cleanse it spiritually, energetically, emotionally, physically. And psychically. It's not the, see, if you lose someone you love, you tend to go into grief. In a narcissistic abuse cycle, because they'll never give you closure and the enmeshment stays alive, you don't go into grief until you do healing work. And then you can start actually healthily grieving them. So this is the challenge. Like in a process of loss, or even losing someone you love, you'd go into grief quite quickly. In a narcissist, you don't. You stay in the enmeshment. This is the problem. You never get over it until you break it, right? So if you can come into sovereign do, there's nothing loving in these dynamics. They will show you out so that who you were doesn't exist. You won't even recognize yourself anymore if you let it go on for too long. You can't connect to who you were. when you're in these enmeshments. It's like your values have all been compromised. Everything I believed in was all compromised in my last relationship. I never would have gone with a married man. He knew it. So, of course, he didn't present himself as that. You know? They will push people sexually a lot of the time to do things that are awkward for them, because that sexuality carries a lot of shame, you know, in our society. So people have often told me things. I know that I had a narcissist that was like that, where you know that you're becoming someone else. You're becoming what they need you to be, right? To be their source of supply, but also to be detonated at such a level that you're just unrecognizable. That's what they do to you. They shell you out spiritually. Your values, your boundaries, what you stand for. Now, you can't really be confident there because you're not you there. Now, you're not going to become a narcissist because you're not going to detach from your soul, but you're going to get disconnected from it because you can't survive in these relationships without doing that. So you start getting so disconnected, which feels so empty. Yeah? When you're dealing with something very poisonous, it's going to make you sick. I think we just have to acknowledge that. So, like, it's got nothing to do with love. When we see it for what it is, it's like we think we stayed because we loved them. And you can still connect often to that love bombing stage with the person that they pretended to be, that you felt connected to. That was just an illusion. But really, we stay because we were enmeshed. When people love each other and they break up, they tend to talk and say, you know, they tend to come to a different way of doing it. They respect each other. They value each other differently. Sometimes they fight, obviously, but like, it's a very different dynamic. This dynamic is control. It's ownership. It's possession. The narcissist will try and possess you, literally. It's got nothing to do with love. A narcissist is soul detached and kind of void. So although they'll fake emotions sometimes, they don't really have emotional capacity. That's why they move on straight away, why they have this web of all sorts of stuff going on. They can be malicious because they don't have a conscience. They don't have empathy. They don't have an emotional reality like we do. So often we project our emotions on them, and you know, if we've been abandoned by people or hurt, we'll try and protect the people around us and not want them to feel. Narcissist doesn't feel any of that. They just feel a hit when they can siphon your energy and have control. So like, it's very hard to believe that someone we've had intimate moments with, conversations with, felt connection to, is actually not even capable of love. So in that situation, we had that experience, they didn't. That's what I see of it. They'll talk a good game. Yeah, they know how to manipulate people. What I found with narcissists, which was extraordinary, my brother was like this, I thought he must understand, I mean, he was intuitive, but he would use that to manipulate people. So they're emotionally aware. So that was what's so hard for me to understand. It's not just cognitive empathy. They psychically know your emotions and they manipulate them. But I'd never understood for a long time that how, you know, I'd have thought, well, I'm pretty emotionally intelligent, I think, with people, because I've experienced a lot and I've worked on that, you know, like awareness. How could you be so aware of someone's emotions without having those feelings? They know the emotions, but they don't feel them in the same way. They've got a psychic, telepathic, intuitive way of doing that, but it's not from their life experience, which is so interesting to me because I never imagined that was possible. You know, so they can relate to you emotionally. They can, I mean, a lady wrote in the video that, is it Sam Vadkin or something? He's a narcissist that speaks out about it. He ran a show and he projected an emotion on a woman that she actually started experiencing it. They know how to manipulate, literally disrupt your entire system. They know how to make you feel wildly in love with them. Now, are your feelings real for them? Yes. Is your love real for them? Yes. The challenge is you're in love with someone who isn't being who they are, because everything they do is an illusion and a projection. A narcissist will show up with you in one way. If they've got a double life, they're a completely different person with the other person. They're what they need them to be in order for them to hook them and keep them as a source of supply. So it's really disturbing, because that person, I mean, is so detached on a soul level. They're just going around the planet not really being a human. That's what I'm saying. It's not really human to be like that. You know, like if I try and go out of myself, not be who I am, I don't feel good in myself. You won't either, right? Because that's what I say, when we self-abandon or aren't true to ourselves, or feel like we have to put on an act or be anywhere I have to be inauthentic, I don't want to be there, right? I can't breathe, because like I need room to be me. Yeah, I can't put on an act, I can't fake it, I've got no interest in it. And it just diminishes you anyway, right? But they are constantly putting on an act. I mean, can you imagine it? That's why when you catch them in a lie, sometimes they forget what lie they're in. It's not human in the same way as us. Your feelings are real. Like, it's not all an enmeshment. You have felt love for that person, but that person isn't who you think they are. That's why it's so sick. It's really sick when you actually get into it. It's disgusting. It's really disgusting. It's disturbing to me on a soul level still to really understand the dynamic of it, because it's totally unimaginable until you've been through it. That's why I don't think a lot of people who haven't been through this have a lot of empathy or sympathy for it, because they cannot imagine. Why would you go back to someone who treats you like that? They don't have any idea what they're dealing with here. That's why they need much more awareness on this. Like, you can't imagine. How can you love someone? I remember saying to someone, because they were talking about domestic violence, and I said, it was a meeting, it was just a meeting on something else, but I remember saying, I know why people go back after that. I know why, because I understand these are cycles now. I know why. They'd risk their life even. People who have never come across this, they can't fathom it, because it's unfathomable. But what I believe about that, as we raise awareness on it, is that because it's so unfathomable, that completely validates what I'm saying about what a strong psychic attack, manipulation, hold and spell it is. Because it is unfathomable. We didn't come up as children expecting this. We did watch television and be around people who were not behaving like this. Think of the strength of the psychic spell if it is making people do this kind of stuff. This is what it supports. But we've got our attention on the victims and targets of it, thinking there's a problem with them. There's no problem with you. We don't know what we're dealing with, or we didn't. Highly dangerous people on the planet that will lead to your destruction of self, of spirit, of values, of soul, of direction, of confidence in yourself, right? As I say, confidence is fleeting in life, because we do something, we get confident, and then we go on to the next thing. But like, of certainty in yourself, yeah? It's huge. It definitely needs to be sanctioned. But like, I don't know, like I think we just keep doing this, and then at some point, I hear trickles about that. People in my groups and stuff tell me certain things in certain countries are being done. It needs to be done. But we have to not tolerate it and recognise it first. The more awareness, the more people call it out, not necessarily to the narcissist, but say what's going on in a clear way. Because the thing is, when you're so traumatised, when you've spoken to someone, I know this for me, when I was very traumatised, I wasn't clear. I'm so confused in it. I didn't know if it was me, if I've done something wrong. You just don't have the clarity or the words, right? But I think when we do things like this, and I can give you words and how to communicate things, so you know what, you know, and you're doing that all the time, I'm sure, if you're here, like researching it, hearing things. So you've got language and clarity. And from there, it's a lot easier, because before that, people very traumatized get blamed as well, because they don't really have the tools or the communication or even knowledge to explain clearly what has been going on to them. And part of the problem is that they're doubting themselves. They've been brainwashed into thinking it's them. It's not you. The first thing to know is most of this has got nothing to do with you, not even your childhood wounds. Like I said, these are predators, and when you've got childhood wounds or anything like a lot of empathy, or you're vulnerable like I was and other people I've met have been moving to a different country, no family support, blah, 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 these make you easier prey. It means that if they were a lion trying to you know, I don't know, chase an animal to eat, they don't have to, you know, they're going to go for the easiest one. It's less effort when you've got those things. But that's not the reason that, and it's not the thing that you need to work on first. The thing you need to work on first is recognizing what this is. Second, to come into your sovereignty, so that you know who you are and you know when someone is taking you away from yourself. And the first thing we do, which I do feel like a lot of information is telling people to not trust themselves first. But I feel we need to be in our bodies more and trust yourself first. You can question it, yeah, but we've been taught almost to self-abandon and to suppress our emotions, which are messengers. We shouldn't I don't mean act out on our emotions. I don't mean take them out on other people, but I do mean learn how to process them, which is part of what I teach people, and extract the message from them. All emotions are messengers, right? They're not irrational. I mean, they don't seem logical, but they're a message from your soul. They're a message from your being. So we do need to extract the message from them, right? So your feeling of love is true, but not for who you think they are. And they're not capable of love. It's not love from them. You know how painful it is when it's someone you love to let them go? I know how long I sat over with my family, like the feelings I had. Do you know how easy it was for my dad never to talk to me again, and others of his children? Easy. No regret, no remorse, nothing. These people are not capable of love in the slightest. You can't just ease, you know, we talk on this channel a lot about how hard it is for us to let people out of our lives because it's heavy on our hearts. I still find it very heavy on my heart. I still know what to do, right? And I do the right things, but it sits heavily on me. It sits heavily. We like connection, we like harmony, we like joy, we love people. Most of us here anyway. You might not agree with that, but I know I do. I always have, even through all of this. So like, I know our true nature is so lovely inside, but like, it's not easy for us to cut people out of their lives. They will drop you like you're hot. They will also rub things in your nose, in your face, spitefully. Please don't think if you're going through divorces and things that they're going to play fair. Please don't. Think for your outcome. Get very clean emotionally. Get very outcome focused, very factual. You cannot play fair with a predator that has got no intention of making your life fair, easy, amicable or enjoyable, right? Okay, my loves, keep commenting, please subscribe, like and share. I love you and I'll speak to you soon.